In the summer of 1776, putting ink to parchment was an act of profound self-sabotage. For the men gathered in Philadelphia, signing this document meant admitting to a capital crime against the most powerful empire on earth. The punishment for high treason against the British crown was precise and brutal. Convicted traitors faced death by hanging, drawing, and quartering, a public execution designed to be as agonizing and humiliating as possible. By mutually pledging their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, the 56 delegates were leaving a legally binding paper trail of their guilt. There could be no deniability, no claiming they were merely loyal subjects petitioning for redress. We look back on this moment through the lens of parades and fireworks, but in that room, there was no guarantee of success. This was the deliberate initiation of a desperate, bloody conflict for survival. Look at this map of the 13 colonies in 1775. The isolated pockets of settlement hugging the Atlantic coast were already a year into a brutal, localized war with British forces. The colonial militias were outmanned, outgunned, and running out of money. To survive, they required military and financial intervention from European powers like France and Spain. But European monarchs do not invest in regional rebellions. To secure alliances, the Continental Congress needed to prove national sovereignty. In June 1776, they appointed a committee of 5 to draft a legal justification that balanced the competing regional interests of all 13 colonies. The bulk of this immense responsibility fell to a 33-year-old delegate from Virginia, Thomas Jefferson. He was tasked with authoring an argument compelling enough to convince a skeptical international audience. Jefferson's philosophical opening provided the legal standing required for a document meant to secure foreign aid. While universally recognized, the opening lines make up a fraction of the text. The core is a massive list of 27 accusations. Bypassing Parliament, they funnel frustration toward one man. The phrase, "he has," cascades down, engineering King George into a singular tyrant. Jefferson avoided emotional outbursts. He presented these charges with the cold, measured tone of a lawyer laying out a criminal indictment to a candid world. This clinical presentation stood in sharp relief against reality. While delegates structured legal arguments, thousands of soldiers were dying in muddy trenches to enforce them. By distilling complex constitutional disputes and economic frustrations into a binary narrative of good versus evil, the authors forged a highly effective piece of propaganda. Yet the text contains a massive contradiction. The claim that all men are created equal was signed by men who systematically enslaved others. In its original context, the guarantee of natural rights was strictly limited. Women, Native Americans, and minority populations were entirely excluded from these political protections. Congress approved the final language on July 4th, rushing the text to John Dunlap's shop to print the first broadsides. Writers carried these across the colonies. George Washington ordered it read aloud to his troops, clarifying exactly what they were fighting for. Once the printed words spread, the middle ground evaporated. You either supported the new United States, or you were an enemy of the state. Today, the physical parchment stored in the National Archives shows the heavy toll of time. Decades of being rolled, unrolled, exposed to harsh light, and transported during wars have left the original ink badly faded. The highly legible image we usually picture is actually a reproduction. In 1823, William J. Stone completed a copperplate engraving to preserve the words before the original vanished entirely. This process of physical decay and replication mirrors the document's trajectory in history. As the parchment degraded, its core ideas were already being copied, adapted, and broadcast by new voices. The political necessity of consensus produced a text of remarkable flexibility. Because the language was designed to bridge the divides within the colonies, it became a framework that later groups would adapt to their own struggles. Marginalized groups within America soon seized upon this syntax. In 1848, Elizabeth Cady Stanton utilized the exact structure of the Declaration at Seneca Falls to demand equal rights and suffrage for women. The framework crossed oceans. At the close of World War II in 1945, Ho Chi Minh deliberately quoted the American text to justify Vietnam's independence from French colonial rule. The template holds up in modern history as well. When Kosovo declared its independence from Serbia in 2008, the language and structure of their proclamation clearly echoed the events of 1776. The Declaration's most significant impact was its ability to outgrow the specific crisis of 1776. While it originated as a high-stakes admission of treason, its logic gave future generations the vocabulary to challenge their own oppressors.